Tonight on Grady Newsource in Jackson County, how the pandemic has affected people who are in long-term addiction recovery.
The way we feel here is connection is the opposite of addiction. And being on Zoom meetings, you lack that connection of a hug or being face-to-face with someone. And so it takes the wind out of the sails a little bit with it.
In Athens, Clark County, what happens if there's a statewide election recount?
If there's a recount, it has to be done within a time period. So if it's 2 days, if the state orders 2 days, we have to have it done in 2 days, it'll be 2 days, but it'll be based on what they tell us.
Even after Election Day, Georgians are still not sure who will be representing them in the U.S. Senate. Coming up, what you need to know to get ready for voting in the runoff races.
This is Northeast Georgia's only local source for TV news. From the Grady College of the University of Georgia, this is Grady Newsource.
Good evening, I'm Georgia Chambers and welcome to Grady Newsource. We begin with the news of how President-elect Joe Biden will tackle the coronavirus pandemic. He and his transition team released his COVID-19 response plan on Sunday. The team says Biden will continue to call on mask mandates in all states, establish a renewable fund for state and local governments, and invest in more drive-through and at-home testing. Dr. Gene O'Connor, a health policy and management professor, says resources, information, and guidance from the federal level will, in turn, help the state and local level health departments.
I think this is going to take a huge amount of cooperation from the local, institutional level, at universities, all the way up to the federal government. And that we need more of that cooperation and collaboration if we want to be successful in defeating COVID.
This announced plan comes after the U.S. hit the single-day record of 126,480 positive COVID cases last Friday. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit communities hard, and people in substance abuse recovery are no exception. One Jackson County recovery organization is doing what they can to offer support in isolating times. Grady Newsource reporter Cassidy Hannon has the story.
Reboot Jackson has been providing peer support and resources to people impacted by substance abuse since 2018. Outreach coordinator Katie Pope says they've been busier than ever since the pandemic.
I think people are reaching a level of desperation in all of this, basically having to be in solitude and isolation, and they need something to make it stop.
Much of their services come in the form of meetings and individual or group check-ins, which has made dealing with the pandemic even more difficult.
The way we feel here is connection is the opposite of addiction. And being on Zoom meetings, you lack that connection of a hug or being face-to-face with someone.
For Jamie Toludo, an Athens local in long-term recovery for 5 years now, finding that personal connection is what gave her the strength to combat her substance use.
I could sit in my room all day long and try to figure out by myself how I was going to not drink. But until I got into a community of people who were doing the same thing, I wasn't able to do it. As much as I prayed, as much as I wished it away.
Pope says the isolation of the pandemic has led to a surge in more serious issues.
You have found higher overdose rates, higher suicide attempt rates, and we've definitely seen the numbers on an uptick since the pandemic happened and everyone's having to stay home.
Unfortunately, this trend isn't unique to Jackson County.
Jeff Breedlove, Chief of Communications at the Georgia Council on Substance Abuse, said that they've seen an increase in calls to their CARES Warm Line, a phone line operated by and for people in recovery since the pandemic.
The numbers have spiked consistently at 75% mathematically higher from March to the same correlating month last year. Calls are up. That's just a fact.
Not only are calls becoming more frequent, Breedlove said callers are expressing higher levels of anxiety, stress, and fear than before.
Report after report, staff meeting after staff meeting, they're talking about the intensity of the calls of getting worse and worse during COVID.
If you or someone you know is struggling with substance use, you can call the CARES Warm Line at the number below from 8:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. 365 days a year. Cassidy Hannon, Grady Newsource.
UGA men's tennis coach Manny Diaz tested positive for coronavirus, causing the team to cancel its final match of the fall season against Auburn. Diaz tested positive after the team's match against Florida on Saturday. UGA has released a statement saying, quote, Diaz has mild symptoms and is feeling well at the moment. The team is scheduled to return to action in the spring, with Diaz at the helm in his 33rd season as head coach of UGA's men's tennis. After every election, states have a deadline to certify all of the votes that were collected. For Georgia, the deadline to certify last Tuesday's election is Friday, November 13th by 5 p.m. Grady Newsource reporter Kelsey Miller explains the process.
Under Georgia law, all state elections starting in November 2020 must conduct a risk-limiting audit to confirm election results, according to the Secretary of State's office. Under a risk-limiting audit, local election superintendents must complete the audit before the deadline, ensure that all types of ballots are included in the audit, provide unofficial results to the public prior to conducting the audit, and provide details of the completed audit to the public within 48 hours. Before any certification can begin, UGA Public and International Affairs Professor Dr. Jamie Carson says that all votes must be included.
When the ballots are cast on election day, they're officially counted, and it's not until the Secretary of State in each state can officially certify or guarantee that all the votes that have been cast have actually been counted, that certification actually occurs.
In Athens-Clarke County, Board of Elections Director Charlotte Sosby explained the preparation election officials conducted to begin certification.
It consists of including the votes for those voters who are UOCAVA, overseas and military, who had ballots that were postmarked on election day but received by last Friday, and reconciling all the paperwork from all of our polling precincts.
According to the Secretary of State's Results Center, 2 counties in our Northeast Georgia area have completed certification, Barrow and Madison. Dr. Carson explained why some counties could be quicker to certify and why it could take longer than expected.
Counties can vary because some counties are smaller than others, so they count the votes faster. With mail-in voting, it takes longer to process them, so that's why things seem to be moving a little slower this time around.
Kelsey Miller, Grady Newsource.
The state of Georgia may have to recount votes that were cast in the presidential election. Grady Newsource reporter Kelsey Coffey tells us what that could look like in Athens.
Over 50,000 Athens-Clarke County residents voted in this year's presidential election, but there's a chance all those votes will have to be recounted. Georgia law allows for a losing candidate to request a recount if there is a 0.05% margin in the results. Director of the ACC Board of Elections, Charlotte Sosby, says recounting votes could take a while, but votes would have to be counted by a certain deadline.
If there's a recount, it has to be done within a time period. So if it's 2 days, if the state orders 2 days, we have to have it done in 2 days, it'll be 2 days, but it'll be based on what they tell us.
Public and International Affairs Professor Charles Bullock says there has been no evidence of voter fraud in this election.
Voter fraud is rare. So not in this election, not in most elections.
He also thinks recounting votes in Georgia won't make a difference in the outcome of the election.
There have been so few instances in which a recount has changed anything. And when they have been, it again has been incredibly close. This is just delaying the inevitable.
President Donald Trump has appointed former U.S. Senate candidate Doug Collins to lead the possible state recount. Kelsey Coffey, Grady Newsource.
With 2 Senate races heading to a runoff, Georgia voters are not finished going to the polls just yet. Grady Newsource reporter Jillian Tracy has more on how you can prepare to vote in these races.
Even after Election Day, Georgians still don't know who will be representing them in the U.S. Senate. 2 runoffs will take place since in both Senate races, no candidate received a majority of the votes. For one seat, Republican Senator David Perdue will run off against Democrat Jon Ossoff. And for the other, Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler will face Democrat challenger Raphael Warnock. The election date for these runoff races is set for January 5th, 2021. but voters in Georgia can take action before the start of the new year. First, you'll need to make sure that you're registered to vote in Georgia. You can do this by going to www.mvp.sos.ga.gov to check your voter registration status. You need to be registered to vote by December 7th in order to cast a ballot in these runoff races. In-person early voting for the runoffs will begin on December 14th. Absentee ballots for the election will begin going out on November 18th, but you should request your mail-in ballot as soon as possible by contacting your local Board of Elections office. For Grady Newsource, I'm Jillian Tracy.
A three-way special race for commissioner has finally been decided in Oconee County. Republican Omri Hardin will take over the empty seat of Post 3. He won the seat with more than 52% of the vote. Republican Aaron Nowak received 21.4%, and Democrat Jacob Duliez accounted for 26.29% of the vote. Hardin will take over the unexpected seat left open by Bubba Wilkes, who passed away in March. His term will last until the end of 2022. Coming up, an update on a shooting in Oconee that happened last Thursday, and 2 Oconee County schools are designated as Blue Ribbon Lighthouse schools.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Is your family in need of more quality time together?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Nature is best enjoyed together. So bring the whole family to discover all the bonding and stress-reducing benefits parks and forests have to offer. Visit discovertheforest.org and trade in phone time for family time.
Birds, squirrels, chipmunks, grass, worms, bugs, trees, rocks, and other objects in nature cannot talk. If you'd like to have a conversation while visiting nature, you will need to bring humans along. We strongly recommend starting with your family.
Na 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 na, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Today, the City of Watkinsville Police Department provided an update on their investigation into a shooting that took place last Thursday. Newsource reporter Nathan Moore has the story.
I've lived in Watkinsville for 24 years, and nothing like that has ever happened.
On November 5th, the Watkinsville Police Department, as well as deputies of the Oconee County Sheriff's Office, arrived at a Watkinsville residence in response to a reported shooting.
I'm standing here at VFW Drive here in Watkinsville, just under a mile away from the police station. Todd Tedderton, the Deputy Chief of Police for the Watkinsville Police Department, said they are still looking into the incident, but they do have an update on the status of the victims.
We had 2 victims that were shot. These were non-life-threatening injuries. They were both transported to the hospital in Athens, but they were released from that, and they're going through follow-up care at this time. I want to tell everybody this is an isolated, although targeted incident. The suspect and the victims were unknown to each other.
Normally a relatively quiet and peaceful area, citizens of Watkinsville have voiced some concern regarding the shooting.
Well, I'm not scared or anything, but I'm surprised, and it's uncharacteristic of Watkinsville, because I always tell people the town I live in is so safe I can just leave my door open and not worry about it. And to have a shooting in the city is real unusual.
According to the official report from the WPD, the investigation is still ongoing, but a full detailed description of the incident and the findings of the investigation will be made available to the public upon the investigation's conclusion. In Watkinsville for Grady Newsource, I'm Nathan Moore.
Two Oconee County elementary schools, High Shoals and Malcolm Bridge, were both redesignated as Blue Ribbon Lighthouse schools after carrying that designation for the last 5 years. The Blue Ribbon Lighthouse program is a prestigious designation in which schools commit to sharing expertise and good practices with other schools on a local, state, and national level. Only 250 schools have been recognized with the achievement since 2012. 4 of those have been schools in Oconee County. High Shoals and Malcolm Bridge have been awarded the honor twice, while Rocky Branch Elementary and North Oconee High have been awarded the honor once. The criteria a school must satisfy to earn the designation is broken down into 9 different categories. Among them, some focus on student focus and support, school organization and culture, challenging standards and curriculum, active teaching, and learning. High schools in Malcolm Bridge Elementary will carry their Lighthouse School designation for the next 5 years until 2025. From there, they will be eligible for another redesignation.
Hello, this is Melissa Gutt, and coming up, I'll have your Northeast Georgia forecast, along with information about 2 meteoric showers this month and tips for the perfect viewing experience.
Can I tell you a cat joke? Just kidding. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. What do you call a pig that knows karate? Pork chop. So how does a tissue dance? Put a little boogie on it.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How would you not love him?
And now, the weather.
Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Melissa Gutt with Grady Newsource, bringing you your Northeast Georgia weather. Today, I'll be covering the high temperatures today, the low temperatures tonight, the 5-day forecast, and information about 2 prominent meteor showers this month. The high temperatures today range from the low 70s to the low 80s. And the low temperatures tonight range from the high 50s to the high 60s, with an average in the low 60s. This week, you can expect a lot of rain. Monday, the high will be 76, the low will be 63 with partly sunny skies. On Tuesday, the high will be 73 and the low will be 67 with some rain. And on Wednesday, the high will be 76 and the low will be 66. And Thursday, the high will be 77 and the low will be 60 with rain on both days as well. Friday will be partly sunny with the high of 72 and a low of 55. Recover from the stress of election week by enjoying the beauty of outer space. On the night of November 11th through 12th, you can enjoy the peak of the North Tard meteor shower. And on November 16th through 17th, you can enjoy the peak of the London meteor shower. UGA astronomy professor Loris Magnani says to view these meteor showers You should go out after midnight. Find someplace safe, facing east, and leave the city and the suburbs. For those living in Athens, he says you should go east towards Elberton, where it gets dark pretty fast. This was your Northeast Georgia weather. I'm Melissa Go for Grady Newsource.
Coming up in your Grady Newsource Sports, we'll recap the Georgia-Florida game and hear Coach Kirby Smart's thoughts about the Dogs' performance on Saturday.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your closet. Still no jobs? Just more stuff? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed. And they're the stuff inside your stuff. Our job is to unlock those jobs. And it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made this vacation happen.
Double points with every purchase?
Cleverly merging promotions.
I love it.
Cross-referencing travel sites. And booking all your flights with those...
Vouchers. I got us bumped.
They were like, oh. But now they're like... Aloha. You aced this vacation. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
And now, sports.
The Georgia Bulldogs met their rival Florida Gators this weekend for their annual showdown at TIAA Bank Field this Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. The Bulldogs started fast with a first-place 75-yard touchdown run from sophomore running back Zamir White. After a Florida 3-and-out, the Dogs got on the scoreboard again with a 32-yard Stetson Bennett touchdown pass to freshman wide receiver Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, who suffered a gruesome leg injury on the play. Up 14-0, the Dogs then gave up 2 touchdowns as Kyle Trask led the Gators down the field twice. Georgia would regain the lead at 21-14 in the second quarter with an Eric Stokes 37-yard pick six, but this would be the last time the Dogs held the lead. Georgia would score one more time in the third quarter off of a Dwan Mathis 25-yard touchdown pass to Kyrus Jackson, but the Dogs would ultimately lose 44-28. Despite having injury troubles coming into this game, Georgia head coach Kirby Smart gave credit to Florida coach Dan Mullen and their game plan.
Coming up, the Jackson County Holiday Connection program is asking for volunteers for the holiday season.
Defensively and defensively, I thought they did a good job, trying to make us one.
Hello. Hi. I'm from Blue Hill Stonebarns. We brought a meal for you, and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again? Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come on in.
Brochettes, the sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away. Not to mention zucchini flour. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that... Oh.
Again? I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
We'll have a little zucchini stem pasta. A different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Laughing too hard at one of your colleagues' jokes at the office party?
He's not even funny. Warning sign. Those drinks are probably going to your head. Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham-bam minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Jackson County is in the spirit of giving as Christmas time approaches. The Holiday Connection program is encouraging county residents to apply for holiday gift assistance or become a volunteer for the program. Grady Newsource reporter Cheyenne Jones has the story.
The Jackson County Holiday Connection program is looking for low-income families with children 14 years of age or younger to sign up to receive gifts for their children this holiday. If approved, the family will be matched to a sponsor and make wish lists for the type of gifts needed and where to pick them up. Sponsors for the program have complete control over what or how much they decide to donate with no dollar amount limit. Once matched to a family, all of the additional information is emailed. Natasha White says the program was a big help for her family, and she even built a relationship with her sponsor.
My husband and I were so grateful that our child was sponsored last year by the program. We were having such a tough time financially, and we don't know what we would have done with.
Linda Foster, coordinator for the program, says not only are they looking to help more families, but they are in need of volunteers for the program as well due to changes with COVID-19. Linda says ever since COVID-19, there has been an increase in safety guidelines, and they need more volunteers to safely social distance families coming to sign up. As the final dates for sign-up approaches this week, Linda predicts these will be the busiest days and is urging volunteers to sign up. The event will be at Cloverleaf Circle in Jefferson, Georgia, with signs leading to the right area. People will be asked to wait in their cars for paperwork and must have ID, proof of income and residency, and other required documents. If you need assistance, know of a family in need, or are interested in helping with the program, you may visit the Jackson County Family Connection website at jcfamilyconnection.com or text 706-224-7345. From Jefferson, Georgia, Grady Newsource, Cheyenne Jones.
Thank you for watching Grady Newsource. I'm Georgia Chambers. Have a great night.
Hi, I'm Peter. There's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove